everyone, welcome to another episode of Coming Up Milhouse. Today we are talking about Season 3, Episode 11. It's called I Married Marge. Would you like to talk a little bit more about the episode?
Yeah, so Homer is reminiscing with Bart, Lisa, and Maggie. Marge is off, and he starts talking about a time when he was younger and Marge and him were together, and he gets into how he proposed to Marge, how they started their family, and you can imagine an origin story from when they were younger. There's lots of funny things going on about how he got his job and the goofy things he was doing before he worked at the power plant. Lots of wacky stuff like that, but it is pretty good. And the title says pretty much what the story's about. I Married Marge and how that happened.
Mm-hmm. So would you like to go with your first line?
I would like to go with the first line. So basically what happened was Homer finds out that Marge is with child, Bart, so he decides that he's going to propose to her. So he's talking to Grandpa about this. Grandpa's a little younger in this scene, not by much, but you can tell they changed his look around, which I thought was hilarious. And so he's like, Grandpa's like, you have to marry that girl. And Homer's like, because it's the right thing to do. And he's like, no, because you'll never do better. You lucked out. And he says, the fish jumped in the boat. All you have to do is whack her with the oar. And Grandpa, that's a good Grandpa line. I had to go with it. So that was my first line. What's your first line?
What is my first line? So Homer is telling the story to Bart and Lisa and Maggie, and then all of a sudden he realizes that the kids were outside. He's, just started the story and he's mid-dialogue and they're not listening anymore. So he throws open the window and he sticks his head out and he's yelling at them for stopping not listening to his story. And Lisa says something about, you can't blame us for having such a short attention span with all the television we watched. And he says, don't you ever talk that way about television.
And that's a running thing through the series, how Homer reveres television it's a living entity to him.
It might be more important to him than anything
than his
in
kids,
his life.
anything.
Yes.
So he was irked by Lisa's dissing TV.
Right.
That was good.
It was good.
All right. So my second line is a Homer line as well. So when he's back in the flashback stuff about being younger and trying to get his stuff together because Bart's on the way. He's trying to get a job at the nuclear power plant. And he goes in the nuclear power plant, and there's only 2 jobs, and there's 3 applicants, and there's 2 other guys, and these other guys are like superstars. They know Smithers, and they are clearly the ones that are going to get the job.
They're
but Homer,
old college buddies.
And they do this hey, special handshake and all crazy stuff. But they're going to go through the motions of testing everybody anyway, so they go through this test, and one of them is, Smithers asks everybody, what's your worst qualities? And the 2 hot shots, they got loaded answers like, well, I work too hard. Oh, I push myself too much. Right. And Homer says, it takes me a long time to learn things. I'm kind of a goof off. Stuff starts missing from the office. And Smithers like, that's enough. The fact that he answered honestly, and these other guys are like, hey, I work too hard. And then
I'm a workaholic, right?
Homer's like, I'm a goof off. Oh, man, it was so
Classic
funny. Classic stuff. What do you got?
So later in the episode, when Homer gets the job at the power plant, he just marches into Mr. Burns' office and he just announces that basically you're going to hire me, and Mr. Burns says, I like your attitude. Feisty yet spineless.
Yeah, because he's coming on so strong, but he's saying stuff like, I'll kiss your butt and call it ice cream, and you can push me around. And
you can push me
so
around.
So feisty, it's
I'll do whatever you say. So, yep.
He's like, you remind me of a young bootlick named Smithers. That was a great line and a great scene.
It is.
All right, what about scenes?
Well,
you want to give me your favorite first?
So Homer reminiscing. He has a job at the mini golf course, basically, and he's telling the kids how great this job was, and it's basically his dream job, and it pans to this flashback of him, and he is in charge of turning the blades on the windmill, so it's not even electronic. Homer is actually in the windmill, and his boss yells at him that the blades are turning too fast because he's just in there going like this as fast as he can, and so then he has to slow down. And so that was my favorite scene because it's just so ridiculous that that's his job, and he loves this job, and this is what he is seeing his future to be, is being the windmill blade turner for the rest of his life.
Yeah, and it comes out that he's 24 years old, and this is what he's
doing. So
that was funny to me.
Just funny.
Yep.
What about your favorite scene?
So my scene is Homer doesn't get the job, of course, at the power plant, and he goes off trying to find other work, and he does a bunch of silly stuff, and it's not working out. He's just not hitting a good note there. So he goes back to the power plant, and he's standing outside the gate, and he's watching everyone go in, and he's all surly. He's like, "You all think you're great with your jobs." And a donut truck pulls up. And then he's like, "They get free donuts." And the donut guy is like, this on a pedestal almost, the way they shoot up at him.
Well, and it's shining.
And it's shining.
Like sparkles
yes.
coming off. The sun's hitting it just right.
It's like, the best epiphany, and it's just so much. And then the donut guy's like, "Yes, every color of the rainbow." And it just struck me as a great scene because that's what charges Homer up to be like, well, there's more, but that's the beginning of his like, I gotta have this job because I'm gonna get free donuts.
Right, all the donuts you can eat and all the colors of the rainbow. That was the big clincher. So absolutely a huge motivator for Homer to go and get that job.
So I wrote down donut guy.
And be feisty.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so we're going on to winners and losers. Which one do you want to do first?
How about your winner?
All right, so my winner is Bart for silly reasons. I always pick silly, stupid reasons. So Homer's telling these stories in flashback, and we keep cutting to the present, and Bart and Lisa are in and out. And he's telling Lisa, some profound thing, like he's, a father that's, come to mature or something like that. And then Bart says, "Hey Homer, can we have a can of frosting for lunch?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure."
That's fine.
So Bart won because he gets
a can of frosting
for lunch, and why not? He wanted it, he got it. So there you go.
Well, the funny thing is, I almost wrote that exact thing down for my winner, and then I saved it and came up with my winner is Mr. Burns. And my reason is kind of silly as well. It's actually really silly as well. So my reason for Mr. Burns being a winner is because he owns pretty much Ms. Pac-Man, and he gets to play Ms. Pac-Man in his office anytime he wants.
Yeah.
And since that's one of my favorite arcade games, I think that he's a winner for owning that arcade game and getting to play it anytime he wants. And it's, of course, the Simpsonized version of it, but it's pretty much Ms. Pac-Man.
But think about it, this was set in like 1980, so that game must have been like brand new.
Oh, yeah.
So, I can remember being...
Homer says it all happened in this,
far off
crazy land of the 80s.
Yeah.
So definitely it was like 1982 or something.
But it's like growing up playing video games in arcades, the thought of having one in your house. You can do that today, but back then, no, man. If you had Miss Pac-Man in your house, an actual arcade, that's cool. That's a good winner. I like it.
Some Scrooge McDuck money right there.
Yeah, he got the money. All right, what about loser? You want to do your loser?
So my loser, there's this whole big montage of all these jobs that Homer gets, trying to make money so he can win Marge's affection again, or win her back, or feel like he's a better husband or whatever. And So my loser comes from this montage because part of this is he's working for the Slash Co. company, and he's a knife salesman. So he's got a butcher knife in his hand, and he goes to this lady's door, and he rings her doorbell, and he has the blade up, and he greets her, and he says, "No, shake on this product." And then she's like, "Ah!" because it slices her hand. And he's just explaining how sharp these knives are. They never need sharpened, blah, blah, blah. And then he says, "Oh, handle first." But she's my loser of this episode because I feel really bad that
she shook hands with the blade.
Shook hands with a blade. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that was a silly move on both their parts.
Very good, very good. So, my loser is actually several people. So, Homer and Marge go to see The Empire Strikes Back. Uh-huh. All right? And it's like a date. It's, before the whole pregnancy thing. And they go see Empire Strikes Back. And then it cuts to them walking out of the theater, and you hear John Williams' music in the background. Dun, 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 dun. So they're walking down past all these other people that are waiting in line to see the next show, and he says, "Wow, Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. Who would have thought?" And all the people in the line are like, "Oh, well, thanks." And then one guy's like, "Thanks for ruining the movie for me." And
we should have said spoiler alert in case you haven't ever seen that movie.
If you haven't seen that movie, it's 40 years old, but sorry. I might have just pulled a Homer on that if you never saw it, by the way. But I would be, if I were in that line and some knucklehead walked out and spoiled that twist, I would be pretty mad. So, they missed out on one of the best, reveals in cinema history. So they are the losers of my episode this week.
Okay. All right. Anything else you care to say about this episode?
I Married Marge, got a lot of fun flashback stuff, a lot of 80s jokes. Mm-hmm. Good stuff. What can I say? You can't go wrong. Mm-hmm. All right.
That's it.
That's our episode for this week. We will be coming at you very soon with some more content, and watch for us in October when we will be doing our Treehouse of Horrors. All right, that's coming very soon.
Yep. Until next time.
Jiminy Jillikers.